Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Beyond Bitcoin show. Today is October the 20th. 2018. Strong hand. Unconfiscatable. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Personal responsibility is a new counterculture. Deferral gratification. And yeah, this is the Beyond Bitcoin show. We're going to talk about a lot of subjects, much more than Bitcoin, much more than cryptocurrency and random altcoins on a shirt of mine. But if you want shirts, if you want a Trezor, and if you want to know about everything I talk about in this video, it's all linked to below in the notes section, disruptmeister.com. Check it all out. Link below. That's all my archives. We do this show every Saturday night. We go Beyond Bitcoin. I want to say hello to David. We were chatting over direct messenger and on Twitter. And he's a great guy. He was fasting. He was telling me about his fasting. Everybody knows I love, I do intermittent fasting every day. I fast at least 22 hours every single day. But anyway, I'm TechBalt, TechBalt on Twitter if you want to follow me over there. And speaking about yesterday, the archives at disruptmeister.com, yesterday's show, This Week in Bitcoin, was most excellent. Ajit made his debut appearance. He is great. He's got a great Twitter feed. Everybody knows Marty Bent was on, but a guy, Federico, was on also. And he's been on a few times. And I wanted to point something out. And I didn't want to point out on yesterday's show, some of you may remember Federico, the first time he came on my show, he's an Italian man. He was talking about how he went to North Korea and he taught North Koreans about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And it was quite controversial. There were stories written about him. I mean, I wonder if Federico can even get into the United States of America if he's got North Korea stamped on his passport. They probably ask him all sorts of questions now. But it doesn't. It just shows that there's so many interesting people out there in the Bitcoin space, and he's very unassuming. A lot of people says he looks like Jesus because he's got a long beard and everything. But no, that dude went to North Korea, taught those dudes Bitcoin, and what I took from that story, and I've discussed this before. It's unfortunate. Who knows what the North Korean government wanted out of the whole situation. And I'm sure Federico could answer that, could talk about that. But he gave those young people there the knowledge that could free them, that really could. It could totally backfire on the North Koreans. So I was reminded of that when I thought about how Federico was on the show yesterday. Watch yesterday's show. We don't talk anything about North Korea, but hey, this is Beyond Bitcoin show, so we talked a little bit of North Korea today. Okay, and yesterday's show, it's a little bit over an hour. So what I recommend you do, you play it at 2x or 1.5x. That's easy to do on YouTube. I have been doing that with like every single show that I have been watching lately, whether it be Stefan Molyneux, Ben Shapiro, whoever. Okay, Jordan Peterson stuff, who knows? The Andreas Antonopoulos, okay? And it has saved me so much time. I'm much more efficient with my YouTube watching now, which is great. I think I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but you might become a better listener. Your mind might move a little faster. I think it's only a positive. If you can listen to something at 1.5x and totally take it all in, you're working your brain there. You're speeding up your brain. And last week, I actually was talking about getting away from activities where computers think for you. Like again, now when people drive anywhere, they have the GPS tell them they don't have a map in their own head. They don't map it out beforehand. The computer tells them where to go. They don't even know how to go get around their own cities anymore. And I think I linked to a video last week made by a MGTOW actually, about how technology can actually, it solves a lot of problems, but it's not helping increase people's intelligence. I'll put it that way. It might be dumbing them down. They're not using their brain as much. So there's something, I think, by listening to shows at faster rates, at 1.5x or 2, you're using your brain more right there. But some other things that I thought of this week, there are a lot of you who know second languages. And I think those people who know second languages and force themselves to use those second languages, they are less prone to get into the mind rot that technology is bringing some people. Again, if you can use technology to your benefit and you're still using your head, great. But if you're just letting it do everything for you, your mind is going to start rotting away. And this is no good. And again, I've encouraged people to go back to traditional things, to get away from the computer, cook your own food. You've got to think that way, okay? Plan, write down things on a calendar and plan things out that way. Read, obviously, read is something. Something I thought of that some people might not think of as something that could decrease brain rot. Go to your local religious where you go to pray, and pray. Actually, that you're using your head. You're reading a book. You're reading a Bible or whatever. Especially if you're like a Jewish people, read something in a different language, in Hebrew. So that's working your brain too. Now, again, I'm not saying believe in God or anything like that. So if you don't want to go to a service or anything, I'm not saying to do that. But if you're already a person who believes in God, well, go to church, go to synagogue, go to mosque or whatever. That's going back to some basics there, working some parts of your brain that due to technology, you might not be using anymore. So just an interesting thought I had there. Be at the Bitcoin memes today sent, I believe that's 20 Norway kroner you sent there, dude. Thank you very much. You are awesome. He says, Meister, listen, you're the best crypto personality on the internet. Continue holding and strong hand. Love from Norway. Well, dude, I love you, man. I love Norway. I love the salmon out in Norway. Oh, you can get a salmon head there too. On past shows, I talk about how I love to eat the salmon head. You take eat the whole darn thing. Now, that's more of an Asian thing to do, but it's the healthiest part of the salmon. And they've got great fish in Norway. It's expensive in Norway. It's not I met a lot of guys up there. They were not keen of the. I mean, it's not a totally socialist system, but there's high taxation. There's a 1%. If the government knows how much Bitcoin you have up there, you got to pay like a 1% wealth tax on it every year, or maybe a little less than that. Completely ridiculous. It is a beautiful country, especially during the biggest heat wave they've ever had in like a very long time. I was lucky enough to be there this summer, and it was in June, May and June. I was there. It's beautiful. Bergen and Oslo. I recommend it. If you're an American, it's a great first place to travel to. If you've never traveled anywhere else, do it during the good weather though. Again, it isn't cheap though. You can find a good Airbnb though. And I did have a blast in Norway, and it was quite a sight because they're not used to the sun all the time. All these hot Norwegian women, now don't value your wealth in women, since they can't, for most of the year, they can't get outside during this or they can't take most of their clothes off and go outside during this heat wave. I mean, they were laying out in bikinis and stuff. And again, I don't value my wealth in women, but it was when I was running around Bergen and Oslo and I see these women, and blondes aren't my thing either. And not all of them are blonde, but I mean, there were some good sights to see. I mean, I got to admit it, I'm a man. I mean, pound the freaking like button, people. But again, value your wealth in Bitcoin. Value your wealth in Bitcoin. Don't go to Norway just to see the hot blonde hair women. Go it's a learning experience, and meet up with some of these Bitcoin people that are out there in Norway. The Bergen meetup was pretty good. I spoke there. It was a good time. Okay, that was an unplanned for talk there, but hey, this is beyond Bitcoin. You're going to hear a lot of things that are totally unplanned here. So, okay, I talked about cooking your own food to get out of the brain rot. So another thing about last week that came up, people were saying, Adam, you look like Adam Levine of Maroon 5. And I said, yeah, well, because he's Jewish. So I said, wait a second, he's not Jewish. And then I got all confused about the situation. He's not Jewish. He is not Jewish. And I wanted to point this out because his last name is Levine, which is obviously a very Jewish name. His father was Jewish. His mother's father was Jewish, but his mother's mother was not Jewish. And thus he is not Jewish. To be Jewish, your mother must be Jewish. And that's it. I'm sorry if you don't like that, people. That's how it works. Or you can convert. And so, and again, people say I also look like Perry Farrell. And Perry Farrell is Jewish. Yes, Perry Farrell, lead singer of Jane's Addiction, is Jewish. Now, so, you know, the situation, and it's a really unfortunate situation that people like Adam Levine get into, where their dad is Jewish and they have a Jewish last name, and they might appear to be Jewish to some people, but they're not. So they're going to be hated anyway. They're going to be blamed for all sorts of things. And so these people, but then the Jewish people will say, you know, if they come to the Jewish people, they come to me, it's a very tough situation. I'll say, well, it's very unfortunate that you're being hated upon, but you're not Jewish and you're being hated on because they think you're a Jew. It's rough, dude. It's rough. And so many of these people whose fathers are Jewish and mothers are not Jewish, and thus they aren't Jewish, they become they want to prove to the world they're not Jewish at that point. So they start hating on Jewish people themselves, and they become some of the biggest Jew haters there are, these people that have fathers that are Jewish. But in the long run, still, they're hated because these ignorant people out there, they hate Jews so much. If you got a Jewish last name and you look like your dad's Jewish, they're going to hate you anyway. So I feel for these people. And that's another reason. If you're a Jewish guy, yeah, you should marry a Jewish woman. I mean, that's just it. I am a Jewish guy. I have been in many relationships with non-Jewish women, and I sound very hypocritical that way. But I'm telling you the truth. I never was going to marry, never had any plans to marry a Jewish woman. I never, a non-Jewish woman, and I never will marry, and I would never do that. I would never do that. But I was taking risks when I was young and valuing my wealth in women. And, you know, I was thinking with my head down there. I was attracted to whoever, and I was having, you know, relations with women that weren't Jewish, and I could have impregnated a woman and created a situation that I'm describing. I cannot explain to you if that would have happened to me. I don't know what would have. I think that's like the worst possible thing that could happen to me, other than like death. To do something like that, to create a person that would have to live in that situation, and it's just something. There's some personal info about me there, but yeah, that's Adam Levine is not Jewish. It's unfortunate for him that and people like him who have to deal. Still, they're not Jewish, but have to deal with what what Jewish people have to deal with, and it should be. It's a great honor to be Jewish. I love it. I love it. I love being hated. I relish it, and we're going to talk about that in a second, actually. But if you weren't Jewish and you were hated because you were Jewish, you could see how that could be kind of annoying to the person that was being hated upon. So speaking about Perry Farrell. And speaking about valuing your wealth in women, people like to hear stories. I mean, Adam tells his life story on this darn thing. We'll get to that in a second, Adam. Should I save this story for the next time about how the Perry women were attracted to me because I look like Perry Farrell? Okay, 1 second here. Where did I have that written down? Oh yeah, there it is. Now I have to tell it. So again, don't value your wealth in women, but here's a story. Yeah, because I look like Perry Farrell, two women have slept with me because of that. Just they were attracted to me initially because I look like, they think I look like Perry Farrell. So I mean, you might not think he's an attractive man or whatever, and like women have different tastes and stuff. It just, I guess I'm putting that out there, and they make odd decisions. Like, oh, I like that guy because he looks like Perry Farrell. I mean, and one of these women. I mean, I was at a bar and she basically came up to me. She approached me. I was approached because I appeared to look like Perry Farrell to her, and I ended up. And this wasn't a good thing to do, and I don't recommend you doing that. But I ended up engaging in sexual intercourse with her that evening. And again, you know what? And there was another time in my life. You don't hear these stories often. Women, usually a guy has to approach the girl, and I've approached girls, obviously, but that was an experience where a girl approached me, and there was another good story where a girl approached me, and this is a good, interesting story. I was at Club Charles in Baltimore. So we'll get real specific on this one. So it's just a bar. It's just a bar. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, bam, this like Rolling Rock. And this is when I drank. Again, don't drink either, but whatever. I did what I did back in the day. Bam, this Rolling Rock just lands right there. And I look behind me. I was talking to my friend, and then I see a girl like kind of walking away and stuff. A girl bought me a drink. It was awesome, dude. So then I go over to her and I say, hey, you know, we start talking, and we hung out that night, and I later slept with her, of course. But pound that like button. There's a start. But again, these things, don't bet on these things happen. Don't value your wealth in that stuff. I wasted a lot of, those are just like two little easy stories out there, right? It makes life see, that's just like the guys that say, oh, I can trade every altcoin in the world, and I make so much Bitcoin. They only tell the good stories. And I just told you some good stuff. Trust me, it's such a waste of time if you value your wealth in women too much. Okay, I can't tell you all the stories of the failures and stuff. And you know, you go out every night. You know, it's a waste of time. You're better learning, and you know, it's quite a world we live in today. And again, you should meet women. Look, if you really want to get married, then don't beat around the bush and do what I did and try to sleep with every hot woman you meet and everything like that. You know, follow whatever your religion is, your standards are, you know, what'll be best, and date for marriage, just like Ben Shapiro says to do. If you're gonna, but again, marriage, again, I'm not saying to get married. You guys got to go your own way. You got to make your own decisions. I'm just telling you my little piece of my life story here, but I don't want to make it seem like it's like so easy to go get women. Like women are buying you drinks all the time and stuff. I'm just telling a story of, you know, I look like Perry Farrell and they slept with me because of whatever. It's ridiculous to even do that. Okay, so what else do we have here? YouTubers out there. We were talking about the attention economy, or I was watching some guy talking about the attention economy. I brought this up before, and there's the social media that's out there. We got YouTube, we got Twitter, we got Facebook. On Twitter and Facebook, you share. On YouTube, you create. Now, I like YouTube and Twitter, but there is something to be said about that, taking that next level in this attention economy, if you believe in that type of stuff, and producing your own content on YouTube instead of just, sharing on Twitter or Facebook. Facebook's is a wreck. I mean, that's you post something on there, like what, 2 of your friends see it or something. It's totally ridiculous. And it's a place for people to virtue signal and anything like that. But yeah, there is some. I'm not going to say to everyone out there, make your own YouTube channel, but there definitely is some. And it takes time. It takes time, you know that. But to put yourself out there, it says something. And where there is risk, there is reward. And if you do put there could be some reward in the future. You know, it might mean a lot more in the future if you do have some beachhead social media. Social media presence out there, like YouTube, to have a big one like that out there. It could help you. You might be, who knows what it might mean one day to have, but it could come out to haunt you too. But again, fitting in is overrated. So speak your mind. If you are in the Bitcoin overlay, and if you can truly speak, put some content out there. It could be valuable one day. This is we're entering this new world where, you know, you have your real life persona, and then you have this online persona, which is kind of sickening in a way. I mean, I'm not saying I approve of it, but if you want to have a wealthy online avatar, YouTube is that's where you'd have to put the most time into it. But it has the biggest payoff also. And, you know, again, you can, if you want to be a passive presence in social media, be it too, because you could, I wouldn't say, you know, read the stuff on Twitter, learn from the stuff on Twitter and YouTube too. You don't have to be a content creator. But anyway, I've talked enough about that. I just wanted to point out that on YouTube is a different form of social media because you are creating. On Twitter and Facebook, you're just sharing, and I think that's important to share. Okay, so we've got a Bitcoin meme today. Also said, and he sent 20 Norway krona. 99% of all BTC is mined in the year of 2036. Yeah, by the halving, by the halvings in the 2030s, there's only going to be so little Bitcoin left to be mined. So if you already have at that point, you're going to be in great shape. So I've talked about that on some of the shows before. But hey, man, let's go. We go back to Bitcoin. Now we'll go beyond Bitcoin again. Thank you, Bitcoin memes today. I mean, learn about the halvings, people. Learn about how Bitcoin is not is a scarce financial instrument, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so here, speaking about YouTube, and I do read the comment section on all sorts of videos, because you can learn a little bit about the 80%ers out there, and some of the smart people out there also. But the following thing is a little quote. I hear something like this all the time. The only thing I think men collectively can do is watch the whole thing collapse and then pick up the pieces. No, that's pathetic, dude. That's just, I think that's such a pathetic attitude. That's not in motion. You know, you're just going to sit there and let everything fall apart, and you're going to get some jollies out of it. And then you think, if everything falls, if the world goes to heck, then I'll do something. Then I'll do something with my life. Then I'll be victorious. No, be in motion. Do something proactive here. Get into Bitcoin. Bitcoin lets you opt out and, you know, be in a productive realm. What happens in the unproductive realm, and I understand if you're a guy and you're down with mainstream society, okay? But just saying, oh, I'm going to sit around and let it all fall apart and then I'll do something. Now, opt out of that realm. Whatever happens in that 80% realm, if it all falls apart, then great. Whatever it happens, that's great. You do something with your life. Just don't sit there. Bitcoin is this amazing opportunity. So you don't have to worry. You don't, I mean, it's not good. It's not a happy thought to think of the gynocentrism and you know, some of the disgusting things that are out there, some of the things that offend people that are out there. And it seems like you could be very helpless in this very consumerism centric world, this very superficial world, but you can opt out of it. Just don't stick around in the superficial world and say, oh, I want it all to fail and then I'll be great. And yeah, so whatever happens there, happens there. Come to be in a realm where you're productive. The Bitcoin overlay, I call it, because if you care so much, I mean, you're going to be, if you're so down about that old mainstream realm, you're just going to get stuck in it. You're going to get stuck in it. Bitcoin is the key to opting out of it. At least that's what I say. And again, you get into Bitcoin, you get the FU money, and you get a whole new perspective on what's going on. You know, once you take your red pill or whatever. But you know, I try to stick on the bright side of things here, people. And I think Bitcoin is a way that can make guys a lot mentally, and women too. Just it can help your mental health. It really can. It can get you thinking about something other than, oh, I just want it all to fall apart and then I'll pick up the pieces. All right. And again, this guy said, the only thing I think men collectively can do is watch what's this about collectivism, dude? Yeah, collectivism is the default. What you can do as an individual is what you should be thinking about. Individualism, that takes, you know, you've got to move to individualism. You're in that collectivist mentality, and that's probably the main reason I talked about this for so long. Why it triggered me, I guess. Comments like that trigger me, but because not only do I like, why can't this person do anything with their life? Why are they so down? But they're stuck in the collective mentality. That's your first thing you got to get out of. You got to get out of this we as men. No, yeah. So yeah, it sucks for men. Some things suck for men these days. You as an individual man can get beyond all that stuff. It's just like the people who get obsessed with whoever's president. Who cares? If Hillary's president, I'd still be in great shape. If Donald Trump's president, I'm going to improve myself. I'm not going to let whoever's president get me down so I can't improve myself and I'm in some collective where I'm in an oppressed group and I just can't get up. That's just terrible. All right. So to paraphrase Stefan Molyneux here, we're going to have a lot of this coming up. If you prepare, the less likely you will have to be in a position where you will need courage. Okay? So he was talking about preparation. If you prepare, if you take your time to prepare for things in life, you're not going to get into a situation where you're going to need to be courageous suddenly, okay? Think about that. Think about that. And I'm not saying, obviously, it's great to have courage, but you don't want to get into some life or death situation where you're going to need courage, where you're going to need it to survive, okay? You want to put yourself into a situation where if you prepare, you're going to always be in situations that are just like you're in total control of and that are not going to go wild, where you're going to have to save a bunch of people when you're going to need courage. So think about that. Think about, I mean, and again, it's the thing about having courage is that, I mean, lots of times when you need it, it is, you know, it's make or break type of stuff. If you can't gather it up, you're in deep doo-doo, okay? Whether you get physically harmed or you can't progress to the next level of something. Again, if you prepare, you're never gonna you're gonna put yourself in a situation where you're on smooth sailing as much as possible. So always prepare. That's another thing about long-term thinking. But yeah, there's a lot of short-term thinker guys. They get themselves into horrific situations and then they end up being heroes, which is great. But you'd rather not you'd rather avoid those situations. All right. So long-term thinking, preparation. Maybe preparation is going to be another one of my sayings. But it's Stefan Molyneux's video, it was and I don't link to that one below. If you go to his latest videos, it was the one when he was talking to some guy for like an hour or something, and you see the guy's face. He's just a regular guy. And of course, I watched that at 1.5x speed, of course. Some of it maybe at 2x, I forgot. Here is an article. It says, Instagram-loving pet owners will spend nearly $500 million on animal costumes this Halloween. Yeah. So there are people out there, they're going to spend a total of $500 million on costumes for their animals on Halloween. Do you know how much I spend on my Halloween costume? Nothing, of course. Nothing. When I was going to Club Charles for their great Halloween party every year, Club Charles and the Zodiac in Baltimore would have a very good Halloween party. It was a good time. I would just, whatever, I get some of my dad's old 70s clothes on. I'd wear my dad's old army uniform, whatever, $0 I'd spend on it. It's ridiculous that people even spend on themselves for Halloween costumes when you're a grown person, when you're in your 20s or 30s. It's ridiculous. But people spend on their animals. They spend for their dog. $500 million. So this is the world we live in. And these are the same people that are going to complain, I didn't get into Bitcoin. I had no money to get into Bitcoin. Or why are you so rich? Why am I so poor? Why am I in debt? That no long-term planning, impulsive, just the thought, the lack of thought of these people. And again, so some of you are saying, why would I want to be with these people, Adam? You see, we should let it all fall apart and let all the dog people ruin the world. No, first of all, it's not going to. They've been able to maintain this for a while. It just, it greases the wheels. The 80%ers grease the wheels of the system. They're connected to the dollar welfare system. They'll gladly accept it. They'll gladly keep on buying their dog. And so it's not all their dog costumes. It's not all going to fall apart. So you just opt out of it. And you look at those, you think to yourself like, well, what am I doing that's like, what am I wasting money on? Because wasting money on things that, it's just, that's obviously a very obvious, silly thing to spend on your dog or your cat or for Halloween costume, but there are other ridiculous things people spend on too. Buying women all sorts of, spending $100 on women at a bar that you never, they won't even talk to you or something like that. I never did that. That's one good thing about me. I never would buy women drinks at bars. Never. Even girlfriends and stuff, I would cheat out on that stuff. I would find ways around. it. Oh my God. I shouldn't even tell these stories, man. But I mean, my one girlfriend of mine was like begging me to take her out to like some cafe, and I was like, "What is it? Why should I buy? I can make you food here." Completely ridiculous. Oh, I would never spend. You don't need to do that. We'll get to that. We'll get to if a woman is truly interested in you, they shouldn't care about superficial things, getting her dog costumes or taking her to Well, I will hold off on the name of the place she asked me to, just to protect the innocence of everyone involved. I could say I forgot the name of that darn place on it's on University. All right, so okay, so we talked about the dogs. It's just what a world we live in. But you don't have to participate in this hyper-consumerism thing. Don't get your dog. Instead of getting your dog costumes, get some Bitcoin. All right, so Beto O'Rourke again. Oh yeah, Beto. So first of all, link to below is the Beyond Bitcoin show, September 1st Beyond Bitcoin show, where I first mentioned Beto O'Rourke, and I said that if he beats Ted Cruz, that he will become the president of the United States. He will beat Donald Trump in 2020. Now it's not looking likely like Beto, but at the same time, I said that this guy is who the Democrats, who the media want to get behind. He is like an Obama 2.0, blah, 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 blah. And again, I don't care about politics that much, but I'm pointing this out to show how the media can manipulate people. And is the media doing this out of evil intention? No, the media is who the media is. They're always going to pump people like this. It's so predictable. And that's what I'm talking about it all, because it's so easy to recognize, for me at least. And I think it should be how fake politics is, how it all works, how it's all cyclical, how certain people want to promote certain types of people that are in certain molds and will let certain people off for doing bad things, but then point out the flaws of other people. It's an interesting science to look at it that way. But again, if Beto O'Rourke became president of the United States, it wouldn't make a difference to me. Whatever. I mean, again, you want to be in a position where it's not going to make a difference to you either. Okay. So you got to get yourself in that mindset. So that's another way that I bring it up. But here we go. Vanity Fair. It's linked to below. It says, what's it going? Could Beto O'Rourke be the next Obama? It seems like Iowa in 2007. Is Beto O'Rourke the left's Obama-like answer to Trump in 2020? So they're saying it right there. They're saying it right there. What I said on September the 1st. They're saying they're openly saying we're pushing him to run against Donald Trump. Now again, people, don't get confused. I'm not saying I support the dude. No, this guy is like a socialist. I mean, he's totally against all the policies that I would, if I were president, I wouldn't. Well, first of all, I would never be president. Politics is horrible. And I've learned that the hard way. In my youth, I wasted time in years, even in semi-recent years, I've wasted time on, don't waste time on this type of thing. It is interesting to see the insight you get from how the media tries to manipulate the 80% and how impressionable the 80% are, because this Beto guy was a nobody. You guys didn't know about him until September 1st, most likely. He was, and now people will be saying, I support Beto O'Rourke. They'll read Vanity Fair and they'll be, that's my guy. That's how easily manipulated people are. The 80%ers are. It's so terrible. And that's it. You can translate it into cryptocurrency. A lot of people talk about Ripple. Oh, well, Ripple must be good. I'm an 80%er. I like Ripple now. Ripple is the Beto O'Rourke of crypto. Pound that freaking like button. No, but you see where I'm getting at here. It's good to be able to notice these trends in mainstream society, how influencers can so easily influence the collectivist out there, because collectivism is the default. They're going to look to some guru to tell them what to do, to tell them who to support. And that is Beto. And Beto, again, he's the perfect one for them to put on a pedestal for the 80%ers just to fall for it. And yeah, it's nonsense. It is nonsense, but it's interesting to see how this is all playing out really fast. I mean, I didn't think, I made the video September 1st. What is it now? It's 41 days later. It's 51 days later, and or 50. It doesn't matter. And Vanity Fair has a story about how he should run against Donald Trump. It's that fast. That's how fast things move these days. And that's due to technology also. The people who try to influence, they use technology to their advantage. The news cycle is so fast, they can create a new person just like that. It took Obama, seemed like he came out of nowhere, but that took a little bit of time. They had to build him up from he gave a big speech at the 2000. He gave a big speech or something, and then they built him up from there. Yeah, at 2004 they built him. Yeah. 2004 speech, then 2006 he was a senator, then 2008 he was a president. But now you can do it even faster with technology. In the old days, like with JFK and stuff, it was a long, gradual process to pump pump someone up like that, to influence someone that the 80%ers fall for. Again, it's got to be a pretty face, appeal to some victim group. Oh, it's so predictable, how mainstream society just loves this virtue signaling victim group type of stuff. And I'm so happy that I'm not part of it. But I'm analyzing it for all you people so you can become disgusted at it and opt out and come into the Bitcoin overlay with me. Pound that like button. Most of you that are watching this are already in my mindset anyway, where you're thinking like, I don't want to be Beto. Who cares about Beto? Who cares about Trump? So, all right. Economic invincibility. I linked to this below. He's a great YouTube guy. And he's talks about alcohol. It's a video about alcohol. Just cut down on alcohol. Kids, in college, kids are partying when they could be more productive. And the fraternity life these days, again, I was never into fraternities and stuff. I thought it was buying your friends. I was not a person to spend money to buy friends. I make friends normally. And I'm not ripping on you fraternity dudes, but that's just the way I saw it, okay? That some of these dudes were trying to buy friends. And they were trying to buy status. And that's not me. That's not me. But anyway, but another thing that happens is some of these 80%ers going to these 80%er colleges are just like to fit in. They're just pounding the alcohol, and it gets you sick, and it'll lead you to be dependent on the government. I mean, it leads you to be media, advertising out there. To fit in, you drink beer. It's cool to drink beer, and they don't tell you the side effects that can shorten your life. You can get into accidents. You can make terrible decisions. I made terrible decisions when I was drunk. I could have impregnated. I mean, it was, it's not good. I regret that I got very drunk many times in my life. Again, I've not drank for a very long time, but I'm just telling you, personal responsibility, people. There are consequences to it. And again, I'm not saying don't drink. Be in control of it. It isn't healthy. And it is something that 80% society, mainstream society, promotes. So you got to think about it. Like, do I want to be part of something that people are like, really? It's part of the reason that people do insane things out there. Half the things you see on YouTube or, the girls stripping and stuff is because they're drunk. And that's, you don't want to be. Look at some of those people and then think about it. You look similar to them if you get drunk, man. It's so yeah. I don't want to sound like some nun here, but I am all into the healthy lifestyle. Again, if you're in college, I know everyone's drinking and everything, but try to learn. Like, I look back on my college experience now, and I was at Washington University in St. Louis. There were so many resources to take advantage of there. So many more clubs and I could have learned so much more. And I really got into the internet at that time. And that was good. That was a good use of some of my extra time. But every weekend I was drinking. Every weekend I was drinking. And you know what? It might have been better to learn some more things. But my life turned out great. I mean, but that's not the way it works for everyone. And I just look back on those times, and I can't remember everything as clearly as I wish I could have remembered things because I was drinking every weekend. There were some really fun times I had with friends, and it's not as clear as it could be because I was drinking and we were beer bonging Schaefer and stuff. Okay, don't want to give anybody any bad examples there. Don't do what I did. I'm telling these stories. Personal responsibility is a new counterculture. All right, 123 Nscope. This guy is great. He sent $5 in the super chat. I'm in college, in my college dorm room right now. So many kids are drunk tonight, spending their money foolishly. All I'm focused on is accumulating more Bitcoin. Dude, you have a strong freaking hand for a college kid. And my hand wasn't that strong when I was in college. I wouldn't have been able to resist what you're resisting right now. So you're awesome, dude. You're awesome. And there weren't any other than like my parents and stuff. And you're always rebelling against your parents when you're that age. There weren't any back then. Like it was all about party in college. That's what you did on the weekend. You couldn't study. On Sunday you'd study and stuff. Even at WashU, man. And it's unfortunate there weren't more examples out there of how studying is cool, learning is cool. increasing your knowledge bases, extracurricular activities that involve intelligence, that's cool. Like that, I wasn't noticing that stuff at least. I don't, that was my fault, personal responsibility. But again, it worked out well for me. And who knows what damage I've done to my body from my college days? I don't know. I don't know. And that's life, it's personal responsibility. I got to take it. But if you are a young person now and going to college now, we've gotten to this discussion before. I mean, learn from there's so many new ways to learn now. Javier Suarez sent $2 out there to me. Thank you, dude. He says 1 Bitcoin, 2 Zcash. That's his rankings right there. All right, dude. Well, at least Bitcoin's #1. And I know you're into privacy if you're into the Zcash thing. So who knows? Zcash is a top tier altcoin. Clearly, it's already on, not clearly, but it's on Gemini. So it's definitely a legitimate argument can be made that it's one of the top tier ones. And then we're not going to this is beyond Bitcoin show, so we won't talk too much about crypto now. But thank you, Javier Suarez, for that. Strong hand, Bitcoin. And it says Monero on my shirt, doesn't it? The Zcash people don't like maybe they like it. Who cares? All right. So Ben Shapiro here, he was talking about how you got to seek adventure in life. And Bitcoin can be that adventure, people. Seriously. He says most people are so comfortable that they just want to stay where they are. They don't move from their hometown anymore. And they demand they get their free stuff. I mean, that's the mentality of so many people in the United States. We live in such a wealthy time and a wealthy country. And so these people have become spoiled. They demand free stuff from the government. They think they're entitled to it. And then they don't want adventure. They don't want true adventure. They don't want to get up and leave and move to a new way of thinking like Bitcoin. They like their fiat. They like working at Target. They like getting their food stamps. They like getting their free phones and their free stuff. And that's it. They're content. Don't be that person. America has, I don't want to get patriotic here, but it was founded on adventure. People moving out west, people taking risks. And with opting into the Bitcoin world, you're not even taking that big of a risk. I mean, if you think about it logically here, I mean, you could stay in fiat, but travel too. That's what I'm trying to say also. I take it to the extreme. I am constantly traveling. I'm in Santiago, Chile right now. But when you go to a new place and you meet new people, you see things, it opens up your mind. And I'm talking to people too. If you have never even been to college and you kind of feel bad, like, oh, I feel lesser because I didn't go to college and now I'm trying to save up money to go to community college or some no, travel. That's better. You learn on the internet, travel, and you're going to learn while traveling, and just opens up your mind to all these new ideas and all these new experiences. And it doesn't have to be super exotic. It doesn't have to be the Zimbabwe or anything like that. Again, there's some good English speaking. And in Norway, another good thing about Norway, they all speak English. It's so funny. Like I had a problem with my computer there. I think I told everyone that. And I go to the computer store and do you know English? He's like, of course. And when you ask the Norwegian, do you know English? They're like, of course. Of course. I mean, it's amazing. It's great. Speaking about bilingual people. So according to my theory, the Norwegian people are less likely to fall for the 80% mind rot than Americans. Man, from what I've seen also from the guys that I hung out with in Norway, yeah, they weren't. I mean, there's one dude I hung out in Norway. He was so aware of things that he was like, I'm out of here, dude. I'm getting taxed. I'm going to Malaysia. I'm getting a job there. I'm making things you would never hear from Americans. But hey, man, I'm not dissing my Americans. I know my 20% of Americans are out there. Some of the most creative, intelligent people in the world. And yeah, Bitcoin world, the Bitcoin center is still the United States of America. There are a lot of smart people here, and English is the language of Bitcoin, by the way. But again, we're going beyond Bitcoin. So seek adventure. Oh, God, Ben Shapiro. Thank you, Ben Shapiro, for that. No, I like Ben. Here's a Bloomberg article. This show is taking a while today, isn't it? But now I got a lot to say. What is this? Top 3% of U.S. taxpayers paid the majority of income taxes in 2016. Okay. The richest 1,409 taxpayers paid more tax than the bottom 70 million. So, okay, aim to be wealthy, people. Aim. Don't be a hater of the wealthy. Just aim high. And don't aim to be taxed, though. I mean, don't say, oh, yes, I want to be the one who pays so much in taxes. Don't think of it that way. Think of it, I want to be successful. I'm not going to complain about, because there's nothing to complain about here. When the richest 1,409 taxpayers pay more tax than the bottom 70 million. And yet, who is vilified? Who is vilified by the masses? The top 1,409 taxpayers, of course. So they can do no right. But if you're logical, you're not going to vilify those people. You're going to be saying, how did they get there? How did they get there? What can I learn from them? How can I get there? You don't have to be the richest 1,000. How can I get toward that? I mean, be productive instead of scapegoating. Because, and I bring this up because these people are being scapegoated, blamed for everything. Yet they're pulling the whole load here, man. They're paying for all these people that I was just talking about to stick in their towns and to demand all these freebies. These guys are paying for all of it. And they're the ones who are blamed. And still, the people who are sitting there getting fat, getting diabetes with all their free stuff, they're still going to point to the top 3% and say, those people are the villains. These people are the cause of all my problems. They're not the cause of all your problems. They're the one. If they weren't around, you'd be dead because you wouldn't be able to eat. They're paying for your food. So in a sense, I guess they are causing that problem. Anyway, they're being the top 3% that are being taxed. They're being robbed. I mean, taxes theft. Taxes are theft, and so the theft is funding these people who like to blame lifestyle. Okay, pound that like button. Speaking about people. That Stefan Molyneux during his live show, and I noticed this with so many of the shows, the people in the comments section, and this is just the way of life. This is just the way of the internet. They'll ask questions, just insane questions about Jews, just like, why do the Jews control the world? Why do the Jews do this? Why do the Jews? I mean, it's just like the paranoia never ends. But Stefan Molyneux gave just a great answer to one of these questions. He's like, outcompete the Jews. He's like, just outcompete them. Don't complain to me about them. Outcompete them. I mean, and so what we have is so many people out there trying to figure out, how do the Jews do this? Why are they so powerful? Why are they so smart? Why are they so rich? Well, they're the cause of this problem. They did this. They did that. They did this. They did that. And all these people are just sitting there complaining, coming up with theories about the Jews. How about this? Outcompete the Jews. Outcompete them. And then you won't complain about them anymore. But no, you're not in motion. You're just going to come up with excuses and stories all day. I love that answer of his. Outcompete them. If you got a problem with someone, don't just yell and cry about them all day. Outcompete them. Just like what I was saying about, the people at the bottom complaining about the people at the top. Those people at the bottom are always going to be complaining because they're never going to be able to outcompete the people at the top. The 80% are always going to be complaining about the producers, the 20% producers. That's where this comes from originally. 20% of the people produce most of everything, okay? And the 80% just, they do what they do. They complain. They're not able to maybe they could. They don't even want to compete. They don't have the initiative to compete. So you can bring it over to the Jews also. That was a good point by Molyneux. Most people would rather come up with conspiracies and stories and actually compete and actually try in life. So as you can tell, I am Jewish, so I try. Not all Jewish people try. But no, guy, I welcome. Be productive, people. Try to do what I'm giving people tips on how to be productive and how to compete with. We don't have some we're not some magical people. We care about education and we like to learn and do things and not just sit there and come up with excuses. All right. What do we got here? What else do we have here? Oh, here, there are people out there, and this deals with a similar subject. They ask me, or not me, but I see in videos, people are like, why don't you, they've got a big YouTube content creator. They watch this person's video all the time. The person's putting out videos every single day. And they're like, why don't you bring up XYZ ever? Why don't you ever talk about the Illuminati or something just ridiculous like that? Okay, dude. If you want this dude to talk about the Illuminati, if you want me to talk about the Illuminati, if you care so much about the Illuminati or whoever, whatever subject matter it may be, and I'm not talking about it, stop living vicariously through other content creators. Make your own videos about the Illuminati if you want to hear about the Illuminati so much. Again, it's not like whatever it can be. If you want to, if you care a lot about pears and there are no videos about pears, make your own videos about pears. Come on, take personal responsibility. The people out there that ask, why don't you make a video about this? Why don't you make a video about that? And it's just something that's like totally unrelated type of subject. Why don't you do it, dude? Create your own. That's an opportunity out there. If you're the guys that you watch on YouTube aren't producing what you want, don't just beg them to produce what you want. You go out there, produce it. Be in motion, dude. And they're not that many. I think fans of mine aren't like that, or aren't complaining people like that. I mean, again, I love ideas for shows that like pertain. They really pertain. You're like, why don't you have this guest on? Well, then that's different than like some ridiculous silly subject or that doesn't have to do with Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or whatever. But again, I'm talking. This is like with Molyneux and stuff. Why don't you do a story about the Illuminati? That's ridiculous. It's a question to ask. It's a ridiculous question to ask. If you care about the Illuminati so much, you make a video about it. And that's the other thing I notice with people, like, clearly he never talks about Jews because he must be controlled by the Jews. All right, dude. Why don't you go make a video about Jews and how you think they control the world or whatever? Obviously, you can't, because you hide behind a little screen name and you leave little comments like a troll in people's comment sections, in the chats, and you do the parentheses and stuff around the name and stuff. You could do that kind of stuff, and you can complain and accuse people. Why don't you make a video about it? But you could never put your face behind it, obviously, because again, you can't outcompete. You can't outcompete the people making the videos out there. On whatever other subject is, you don't even want to compete with them. You just sit there and complain all day and say, why don't you? Why don't you? That's the type of person you are. You say to others, why don't you? When you should be saying to yourself, why am I not? Why am I not? What's holding me back? Shouldn't be anything holding you back. If you care about something so much, you go out and do it. Okay. So another Molyneux thing is if you can't arouse a person's interest in the product of your mind, then you don't have a relationship with them. So this is something way beyond the superficial world that we're in right now. And he's really strict about these type of things. And this is where I was talking about, when you have a girlfriend, if the girlfriend wants you to take her out to the cafe or whatever, but she doesn't want to hear about your thoughts and what you care about and your philosophy, she doesn't care about the product of your mind, then why are you in a relationship with this person? It's not gonna end well. And this is really hard to do for people, because we all have lots of friends. And if we analyze every relationship with all our friends, and if we bring it down to like the base level, would this person listen to me if I told them what my life philosophy is? That's hard. I mean, that takes some self-knowledge, as Molyneux would say. I mean, to put yourself in the position is a very vulnerable position, because you're like, okay, if this person doesn't care about what I really care about, then like I'm nothing in their eyes. And why am I their friend? Or I'm very little in their eyes. So yeah, this is something to think about. And the other thing he put really nice is like, tell me more. If someone says, tell me more, that means a lot more than I love you. Because we've all had girlfriends that say, I love you, and you say, I love you, and it's all great. And then you jump into the sack and you're like a rabbit or whatever. But would they say, tell me more, tell me more about what you're talking about. Tell me more about your Bitcoin overlay theory, Adam. Tell me. And most of the time, the people that you encounter today, they don't want to hear about this stuff. I don't want to about your philosophy. I mean, would my last ex-girlfriend, who I've made a couple references to tonight, would she want to hear more about this Bitcoin? No, not a chance. And she was a smart woman too. She didn't care about what I thought or whatever. It was. I look back now on it, and it was about monkey branching. Probably, I would have ended up in a very bad situation. She would have found out it was superficial stuff. A lot of people are just about that superficial stuff and having the appearance of being associated with the people with the best superficial stuff. So again, we were talking about having that online avatar, and some of that, your online personality. Again, if you're going to make it a totally superficial type of thing, then that's lame. You probably could be quite successful with it. Be yourself. Let your online personality be exactly like your real life personality is, and get into those situations where you are, you can lose followers, you can lose friends because you put out who you really are. But when you weed out those people, your life is better. You're stronger. The less of those fake relationships you have, the better. The more time you can spend on the real relationships and on bettering yourself also. So Molyneux really put that nicely. And again, it was on that video that he was talking to that kid, that young, he wasn't a kid, he was in his 20s or something. I don't know. Maybe I should link to that below. All right, finally. So yeah, tell me more means more than I love you. That's very interesting. It's better than I love you. It's better than I love you. All right. Because I love you is just what the heck does that mean? What does that? It doesn't mean they care about who you are on the inside. They might just care that you look like Perry Farrell or something. I mean, that's ridiculous. Or Adam Levine. By the way, the girlfriend I'm referring to, she did not, I approached her and it had nothing to do with Perry Farrell or anything like that. That was, I don't know. But she was into, I could tell that was a monkey branch situation that I could have gotten. It could have been really bad had it not ended due to whatever causes ended it now. I don't even remember now. Well, I could think of, it's not worth talking about. So again, value wealth in Bitcoin. Value wealth. Again, that's the awesome thing. Off the top of my head, I cannot tell you the whole end story with her, which is great. Which just shows you how much I've changed since then in my mentality of valuing things. Back in the days of valuing my wealth in women, I mean, if you get a serious girlfriend, it can gnaw at you so many different ways and affect so many aspects of your life. And it's so awesome when you can just now look back on that and just analyze it scientifically. Like, oh, that's the way she was trying to control me. Or that's the way it's I'm glad I'm at that position now where it's not about emotion looking back at those things. And that's you've got to get yourself into a situation where you're bettering yourself, valuing your wealth in Bitcoin. If you meet a woman who does care, who really says, tell me more, then that's great. It's hard. It's hard. And I can't give you the perfect advice on that type of stuff. You have to go your own way, people. Realize it yourself. And yeah, enough of that. So this is the final tweet of the day. This is it. This is the end of the show. I have trouble buying the progressives' conceit that we stand at some historical apex of moral sophistication, and an invocation of the past must include a raft of condemnation around this or that shortcoming. Our present age doesn't justify such snootiness toward the past. So yeah, it is so typical of people these days to shun intergenerational wisdom, to think that we're in the apex of moral sophistication right now in the present, that this is, we're all such thought leaders, and we can't, the past is the past. That's so ancient, the way they used to do things. We're so progressive now. No. I have encouraged in my Bitcoin videos the learning of intergenerational wisdom between the people that were in the financial world, like Andy Hoffman and Caitlin Long, to learn. You can learn so much from people who have experience and from the past, and you can apply it to today. Don't think that you are at some moral superior level to everyone out there just because you're living in the present, okay? We've got a lot of problems today. You're not super sophisticated and better than those people in the past just because you're living in this time of the ultimate technology and the ultimate virtue signaling. And you know, we are living in a very comfortable time. You can learn so much from the past, and just knowledge, wisdom comes from the past. So do not abandon it. It's outrageous to think in this way, and you're only going to go down a hole toward ruin if you are if you think you're this ultimate progressive that can just run away and be the ultra sophisticated dude that you believe yourself to be. All right. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Pound that like button. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Check out the link section below. That show was really, really beyond freaking Bitcoin. Hey, but I know a lot of you really get a kick out of these Saturday shows. So enjoy. Good night. Bye-bye.